the most exciting, possibly the most exciting one so far. The Nick Fuentes interview featuring Hunter Biden. Now, I have not seen the Hunter Biden interview, and I might have to watch that one right after this one because I don't know much about this guy. I really don't. All I know is he's just Joe Biden's son, and that a lot of people hate him. I don't know why. I think it's because he did drugs. In or out of the military. I don't know. All I know is, oh my gosh, I am so hyped for this. I am so hyped for this. Like, I really just want to jump in because I'm so curious. I mean, that's just what we're gonna have to do. We're gonna have to just run it.
Ask me, why are you a Nazi?
Inclusion has been our greatest strength. Diversity has been our greatest strength.
White people do feel like we are being boxed out.
Okay, so around here we got to pause the video before we hit the 10-second mark. What is this thing about white people feeling like they've been, from his own words, quote unquote, boxed out? I'm pretty sure I already said this before, but I'm gonna say again. There will never be a pure race on this planet unless you want to, have incest and do inbreeding. If you want to do that, that's illegal. So I'm not going to say do you, right? Because that's illegal. You can't do that. But if you want to do that, then it's like that's kind of strange. I feel like a lot of white people would rather inbreed, keep it in the family than allow for their children to have sex with other races. And I think that's absolutely insane. You are that devoted to keeping your race alive for the future that you will inbreed. You'll have sex with your own children or allow your children to have sex with their own siblings simply due to the fact that you cannot allow for your children to interact with any other race because it'll destroy your pure white heritage, right? That is really, really terrifying to me that people actually believe that. Or that people actually believe that the white race is being boxed out. I don't know why he sounds so snotty. He sounds like a snotty kid.
Why are you a Nazi?
I don't know why he said it like that, but like that is terrifying that people actually believe the white race is being like we're purposefully trying to destroy them, when in reality they will eventually. They'll never exist eventually, just like Africans will never exist eventually, just like every race of people will eventually be mixed together with another race. It's really as simple as that. It's not complicated.
26-year-old white kid doesn't feel like he has access because he's been canceled, and the problem is black people.
I didn't say the problem's black people.
Well, you just did, Nick. You just
said the problem is crime, and we know who's
we know who's doing all the crime, don't we?
doing the crime in Chicago.
Do you get what I'm saying?
Why did you specify Chicago specifically? Okay.
Yes.
About the Holocaust thing?
About that. We get to say whatever we want on the internet.
Snotty.
We get to deny the Holocaust. As far as Jews
whoa, man, whoa.
are concerned in general, I think that everybody in the country should be treated with dignity and respect and have their civil rights.
That's literally the exact opposite of everything you were just talking about.
Think about somebody like Mamdani.
Personally, I don't like him. Like, for example, on 4th of July, when he takes the opportunity to sit there with, let's be honest, not a single white person.
What about...
Okay, well, I mean, there's definitely...
On 4th of July, when he takes the opportunity to sit there with...
One of these people is definitely white. Just based off of my guess, this one, and this one. Probably, right? But I think the representation is what he was trying to do here.
Single white person.
What about fucking Donald Trump? There's no ideological core to Donald Trump.
No, I agree with you.
Don Jr. got the largest loan ever given by the Department of Defense.
Vance owes his entire political career to Peter Thiel. Whichever firm is the one to develop ASI, that could confer dictatorial-like powers upon the CEO of that company.
Everything that we think about the way in which we exist in the world completely changes.
Increasingly with Uber, Airbnb...
Whoa, man, Andrew, what are we doing? Let's get into it.
Apps, you can't live your life without the tech platform.
Everything that AI is built on is ours. That's what they're stealing from us. I want to find common ground of how much of a shithead Donald Trump is. We can get there, okay?
Yeah, that's facts. They both
The
laughed at
kind of
that.
first question that I had whenever I caught wind that you wanted to do an interview like this is, why now? What made you want to sit down
Why
for this
now?
kind of interview?
Well, I think it's an interesting conversation to have all of us here. And, I think it's a moment in our country when there's a lot of realignment. I think that people recognize,
Realignment.
especially in the past couple of years, I'm like a non-conventional critic, maybe,
No, not
of what's
really.
happening.
You're a very conventional
And
critic.
so I think it'll be an interesting, productive conversation. I think it'll be different.
But I mean, specifically because we kind of share a publicist, I heard that you wanted to kind of... Okay.
Oh! He said, yeah. Guys, I just want to make it clear. I want to make it known. I do not work with that guy. He said, guys, whoa. I don't work with that guy at all. Don't associate me with him. Let's stop the presses. Let's make sure we get that cleared up. I don't know.
We have a publicist that you hit
He's
up, and you said that you wanted to talk to someone who would give you kind of a fair shot to like clear up some things and maybe some misconceptions
'cause
about you and the things you
Andrew's the only one out here who's going to give you a fair shot. That's why you contacted him. W. Andrew Callahan.
believe.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah, I think that, I'm somebody who I think like you actually
Also, quick observation. This video is an hour and 46 minutes long. This will be a two-parter.
maybe we have this in common is kind of pigeonholed in a certain way for things that we've done in the past or things that we've said.
Yeah, I'm a crackhead.
And I'm racist, right?
I got pigeons.
Whoa, what? Wait, why would you say that? One of those things is true, and he was admitting that about himself. Did you just admit that you're racist? and I'm also pretty sure that he's probably not proud of it, but he's proud to admit it. Are you proud to admit that you're racist? Is that what we're supposed to expect here?
Well, there. Mine is true. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. He's like, exactly. What I said was actually true. What you said is true?
It's a little true. Maybe a little, no.
Okay.
But yeah, so I think it'd be good to clear up some of the misrepresentations and put out something accurate.
So what do you think is the most misrepresented thing about you?
Well, I think really
That
the
you're
whole
racist?
image everybody has about me. When you
That you're
mentioned me, I
anti-Semitic?
think on a recent show, you said you want to ask me, why are you a Nazi?
Why are you a
And that's how
Nazi?
everybody knows me. Everybody thinks of me as a white supremacist Nazi, and I don't think that's really...
Nick Fuentes, a person who once called Adolf Hitler awesome, well, no wonder they think you're a Nazi, has more than 1 million followers on Elon Musk X. Now he finds himself a central figure in an online battle over the future of American conservative movement. Wow.
I think that we definitely have different values. I mean, you're more from the left, I'm more from the right, but I don't think
that's
I'm a
kinda
hater.
weird.
I'm not a hateful person. It is Heil Hitler Friday.
Whoa! Wait, this is you? Oh, so you're one of those people who gets behind the camera and just feels completely invulnerable. You get behind the camera, you feel like Superman. You feel like invincible. Literally. Yo.
Nazis.
Bro,
Hitler
what?
was very fucking cool.
Yes.
And he has to stand on it. 'Cause if
One
he
of them-
didn't
And I'm
stand
tired
on
of
it-
pretending he's not.
So what's the thing
Okay,
about, I
and
guess,
he
traditional
added
Nazism that you think you disagree with the most?
Well, it's a non-Christian ideology.
You could have just said the genocide. You probably could have said the genocide of the Jewish people. That's like the easiest answer that you could have said. What was the question again, Andrew? Go ahead and repeat the question.
One of them.
And I'm tired of pretending he's not.
So what's the thing about, I guess, traditional Nazism that you think you disagree with the most?
What's the thing about traditional Nazism that you think you disagree with the most? Probably the genocide or the hatred towards Jewish people. Those would be two amazing answers that you could say.
Well, it's a non-Christian
Bro said it's a non-Christian ideology. Am I tripping? Or it's very Christian, actually.
ideology. So, I mean, look, I believe that race is real, as the Nazis did, but I don't think it utterly defines a person. As a Christian, I think we're all created beings. I do believe there's such a thing as a universal human community. And
Wait, so you like the good man John Brown? You a fan of him? Oh, you're not? Oh, okay.
And so I think it's a cruel ideology. I've said this on my show, by the way, but I mean, that would maybe be the fundamental.
Did you always feel that way?
Always, yeah, absolutely.
Always.
So even whenever you were younger and stuff?
I did, but you got to recognize times have changed. 10 years ago, we had a
No,
totally
that's
different
not an
political
excuse.
world. The regulation and policing of speech.
That's not an excuse for what you said on what, bro?
What you would call wokeness, I think, was at an all-time high when I got started as a very young
Wait,
man.
what would you would
All-time
call
high.
wokeness?
Yes.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, and I think,
Yeah.
I mean, would you not
maybe
say there
him,
were
maybe
some
him, yeah.
excesses maybe in those days?
Yeah,
Not really.
in
I
those
don't think
days,
it's
I
ever
wasn't
been.
doing too well, so I wasn't paying.
Oh, damn, that's really sad, actually.
Those days?
Yeah, in those days, I wasn't doing too well, so I wasn't paying much attention. Anyway, I would love to
Yikes.
hear,
That's really
and I'm
sad.
not asking you to like retract everything that you've ever said and all, or anything, but I said that I would love to talk to you because number one, I told you this, is that I think you're really smart, and I think that
Aw,
with that
that's
comes
so
a,
sweet.
in a real responsibility,
Yeah.
and you have an audience.
Yeah,
And
that's most
I have a
important.
friend whose son is my daughter's age, maybe 28, your age. And he's really smart. And he is a big fan of yours. And so,
Oh, no. Oh, that's not good. Because, yeah, like, the thing that it looks like he's doing, I don't know too much about Nick Fuentes, but from what I've seen, it looks like he's radicalizing people without intentionally meaning to radicalize people. That's like what a lot of these people get on the internet and do, is they'll scream and they'll talk about all of this stuff, and they don't understand that you are radicalizing people. When you promote certain things or when you speak about certain ideologies that you believe in, you are creating radical, you know what I mean? Radical leftists, radical conservatives. Like, you don't want people to be radicalized because then they'll go out and do dumb stuff in your name.
by virtue of the relationship, I got to learn what it is that why he is a fan of yours. And none of it has to do with, I would hope you agree, like really egregious things that you've said in the past
like about
about
Hitler.
the Holocaust or
Yeah,
about,
Holocaust, yeah.
Do the Jews ever talk about the 100 million whites that died in World War II?
Whoa,
Or do they just
bro.
bitch and moan about the so-called
World
6
War
million
II.
Jews that died?
And so it's just nice to poke holes in it and say it's not 6 million.
6 million? I don't think so.
and I don't even
You're
know, I
denying
think
the
I've heard you
number?
since kind of rescind a lot of that.
You concede that 6 million Jews died in the Holocaust.
Possibly more. Possibly, we're discovering all the time. So it could be, maybe even be more than that.
But what he agrees with is kind of the anger about the situation that particularly your generation finds yourself in. I know that to be real.
Yeah,
And I
mean,
think
it's
that there are,
upsetting stuff.
maybe my reasons for recognizing that anger as being legitimate my targets are different than yours. I just wanted to hear from you. When you say you're canceled by the right.
White nationalist is removed from CPAC chair of ultra-conservative conference. Wow. Hateful, racist rhetoric.
In 2016.
Wow.
Yes.
I almost felt like in preparing to meet you now is that your reaction to that was to just dig deeper and deeper into kind of the outsider kind of radical say anything
swung
for the
harder
purpose of
right-wing.
generating the attention to build an audience. Is that true? And it's not an accusation. I really mean it. I want this to be a conversation as much as possible.
Yeah.
I mean, there's certainly some truth to that, but I think that might be overstating it a little bit because I
Okay.
really got canceled by the right and the left.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, the left canceled you as soon as you started saying ridiculous, stupid stuff. But the right canceling you is actually surprising.
And
Wow.
back in those
Death
days in
threats.
2017, you had these far left journalists at Huffington Post, Right Wing Watch, ADL, SPLC, and I really believe they were on a mission to find extremist rhetoric, the white nationalist, neo-Nazi boogeyman, all
because
that.
it's news. What? It's news. Yeah, they're gonna search for you, and once they find you, they're gonna spit you out into society, and they're gonna show people who you are as a person. And like for example, in Mamdani's case, you can't show him off to be bad because he's not. If they're showing you around, all the news stations are showing you off, and you're saying stuff like, "Oh, I don't believe in the 6 million number," or "What about all the white people that died during World War II?" Like, you're just spitting the N word just however you want to, even though you know you're white. Like, that's the type of stuff that's like, yeah, they're going to not just another. Oh, he's more than that. Yeah. No.
stuff. And they would look at someone like
but they're gonna
myself,
expose you.
18, and if I was being serious or joking, things taken out of
They
context,
don't care about that.
they would clip it, post it,
No, they
and
don't.
they wanted me to be the villain. And I think they wanted a
Pepper
lot
spray incident. See, like, but that's
of
come on
context.
now.
They would clip it, post it, and they want
Wait, that was huh? Shoving woman downstairs. Pepper spraying and pushing a woman at his doorstep? Huh? Seeking damages, criminal battery. Huh?
and
You
I
did
think they
that?
wanted a lot of people to be the villain.
Wait, now I actually have to. Holocaust denier is making the rounds.
And I think the left, in a way, kind of created this climate where I think they pushed a lot of people farther to the right.
No, by
by
the way,
canceling them.
that very well may be true, but you gave him a lot of ammunition.
Yeah, you
That's
gave
true.
him
You
plenty to
know,
work
I mean,
with, brother.
I hope
Not my
that
brother, 'cause
some of those things that you said in the past are not things that you believed in
the
that
present.
are you meant just to engender like a really radical kind of response. I mean, is that true or
Is that true?
no?
Well, again, I think that back in those
Why do
days,
you keep why? Okay, so the thing that he's said multiple times already is that he keeps going, "Oh, I think there's some truth to that, but you're what does he say? Conflating it? Or you're like inflating it or something?"
not say anything. In 2017, 2018,
Not true at all.
cancel culture was so in overdrive.
That's not true whatsoever.
Any joke, any
Fat phobia? Oh, well, yeah, because what? Is this the wokeness that people are talking about? I do think the Sydney Sweeney thing, Sydney Sweeney has good genes. I think that like was kind of taken out of context. But then there's also all this evidence that pops up after the accusations are made, where it's like, oh no, yeah, that's actually exactly what I was. Actually you're spot on. Like a lot of the times the internet is wrong, right? A lot of the times. But a lot of the times the internet is literally millions and millions and millions of people all coming together, looking at something and coming to a certain conclusion or a certain opinion. And then a lot of times when you have stuff like this, it's because they all agree. They all agree. They're like, yeah, this was very clearly maybe fat phobia.
edge
In this
lording,
case.
anything like that, they would.
Shane Gillis dropped from SNL. Racist slurs.
First of all, there's no
Jeez.
sense of
See,
humor.
I'm so old. I don't even. What's
Okay, well, to break it
edgelording?
down for you, so the dawn of wokeness as it's known today, I think was in like the post-Trump era. After Trump won the election
Yeah.
in 2016, there was a big movement to deplatform and kind of push away those who, I guess the left feel like had galvanized them into the presidency. So there was this big idea that if you
Galvanized.
push people off mainstream social
Oh,
media
they look so
platforms, they would
sad.
go away. Now we know through Trump's reelection, that's not even true. But at the time, that was the mantra. Problematic viewpoints needed to be silenced, tucked away somewhere.
Problematic viewpoints needed to be silenced. Ouch. I mean, it's kind of facts, but also like to silence a problematic viewpoint is just to, you know what I mean? It's just oppression. But if you let them talk about it, like Andrew Tate is like a perfect example. If you just let them talk about it freely, they're going to gain followers. They're going to gain people who love what they're talking about. And then something horrible might happen, right? So I think that's the reason that woke people are so afraid of that. It's like, I don't know any good examples. What would be like, I mean, I guess Donald Trump is like the most accurate representation of that. You let people speak and do things that they want to do and gain followers, and then those followers go out and do terrible stuff like I'm not going to say anything political, but you know what I mean.
Of die in isolation. So I think that was the climate where you first got started, 2017.
Right after
That time period was like crucial for getting people off mainstream platforms. Is that correct?
Yeah, and I would say
Oh,
that
so
you
many
got to get
clips.
into
Wow.
the psychology of those days. It felt like anybody that wasn't on board with the most progressive agenda had no options.
Yeah, because you're a bad person, man. I think the whole cancel culture thing was just if you're a bad person, you're gonna have to apologize. Because there are so many people that survived the whole cancel culture thing. It was literally just like, oh, if you're made out to be, if you've done bad stuff, just apologize and just continue on with your life. It's really not that serious.
just no alternative. It was going to be progressive, liberal, feminist, BLM, all that kind of stuff. And if you were to the right of John McCain, you're no platformed.
Yeah.
Censored, banned from all the platforms. You're fired from your job. You're ostracized socially.
No, that's all that other stuff does not happen. Maybe just a little bit, but that really depends on who you are, right? How much power you've accumulated that you might deserve to lose.
Happened really in 2021 when Trump got banned from the platforms.
Yeah, as he should have been.
Felt like 70 million people got canceled. 70 million people had voted for Trump, or 60, 70 million people. We were all felt like, oh, so if Trump is out of politics and we're all banned from the platforms, then how is there any redress for our grievances? Do we just...
That's a very unintelligent way to think. Trump gets removed off Twitter for saying really dumb stuff. Gets put back on Twitter, says more dumb stuff. Like, what? You think that was a bad decision to ban Trump from Twitter? The one who said some of the worst tweets ever to ever exist?
Shut up and get with the program, and we're all going to be progressive.
Okay, let's keep going.
I think that drove people to a far more radical place where people said, well, what really is a solution? We can't talk. We can't express ourselves.
Why? Nobody said you can't talk. Trump got canceled for being dumb on the internet. He deserved that. You could still tweet however you want. And when we cancel you for your dumb opinion, we'll move on to the next. Like, that doesn't make any sense to me.
We can't participate in the process or run for office. And I was one of the people saying that's exactly what's going to happen. It's going to drive people to extremism. If you don't talk, if people don't feel like they have a seat at the table and enfranchisement, I think then they...
You don't have a seat at the table if you say dumb stuff. You don't get to sit with the big kids. You go sit at the little kids' table and talk all that weird mess. Nobody's going to let you have a seat at the table when you're not smart. I think that's a big reason that what is that one series? It's like Push the Button, or like where they like all sit around in a circle and run up and try to hit the button and then debate. Fuck, I forget what that series is because I haven't watched it in so long because it's really depressing. But but that's like a perfect example. If you have a dumb opinion, you get voted out. You get canceled, right? If you're not making any sense and everybody is observing you, just like on the internet, if everybody is observing you and you're talking to this one person, and what you're saying is making no sense, you get voted out, okay? You get kicked. That's what should happen. Because you're dumb and you're not making any sense, and the majority of people say that you don't deserve to have a seat at the table, literally.
They start exploring options outside the system, outside of the political
illegally,
process, the democratic process. So I think it's self-inflicted in many ways.
So you feel like after the mass deplatforming in 2021, whenever people on the right got pushed to platforms like Parler, Gab, Rumble, etc., the lack of discourse and like the political singularity of those platforms created more extremism?
Absolutely, absolutely. Because look, you take Trump off of Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and I predicted this in 21. I said, watch, you're going to see alternative social media rise because some venture capitalist is going to see there's a huge market of 70 million people that are going to follow.
That want to talk about horrible stuff, racism, killing certain races, homophobia, transphobia. Yeah, all this stuff that they're going to be immediately deplatformed for on the sites that don't want to support racism, transphobia, homophobia, anti-Semitism, all of that good stuff. Yeah, you're going to be immediately deplatformed. Go to Rumble, go to Kick, because we know that, you know what's really funny? Those new platforms that like just pop up like randomly, every time you see somebody on one of those platforms, I'm automatically like, oh, you're problematic and I shouldn't even be watched. I shouldn't even give you any attention for existing because you're on Rumble or you're on Kick, because you probably got deplatformed for doing something dumb, right? Like, and it's like some things like Kick is like a great example. There are a lot of good people on Kick simply due to the fact that they want to live stream and Twitch is really on some bull. But like 90% of the time. But like at the same time, if you're getting pulled off of like Twitter, you got to do something bad to get pulled off of Twitter. If you're doing something like there's a lot of people who do bad stuff on YouTube all the time and they're not getting pulled. If you're getting pulled from YouTube, Twitter, especially like Facebook, like how hard is it got to be to get pulled from Facebook?
Because Trump is no platformed. And that's exactly what happened. Rumble blew up, Elon bought Twitter, and what happened when you had total free speech on these platforms? Well, Twitter now resembles 4chan. And now, there's no gatekeepers. And I think it did push people in a radical direction. And honestly, people are even blowing past me. Now there's like...
Do you think the website is better with no gatekeepers, with no gatekeeping?
Mainstream normie types that are even blowing past me in terms of how radical they are. People start saying things like, there's no political solution, there's going to be a civil war, we need a revolution. Yeah. And I think that's because the message from the left was, you're crushed. You have no options.
No. Well, no, I think it's just basic observation. I think it's basic observation that the rich people are getting richer. I don't think radicalism is a logical solution. But I think it is a solution for sure. But I think it's a basic observation. The rich people are getting richer. The politics are being controlled by the rich people. It's kind of just like, in a way, yeah, it's like they feel like there's nothing they can do anymore. But it hasn't been pushed to the limit just yet. I'm one of those people who's genuinely waiting for the limit to get pushed. And when that happens, I don't know what will happen, but I am waiting for that day.
Can't win. There's no alternative. Trump is going to be indicted and charged and can't run. You can't be on Twitter. You can't have a job. And so people started to say, okay, well, we still exist. We're still here. We still have these concerns. What do we do now? And then people start to say, well, we need a revolution. And I'm one of the only people saying, no, we should still engage in the process and talk with each other. And it's not all one-sided. I think there's problems on the left and the right, but I certainly think it takes two to tango.
Okay, so we agree. I think that there are problems on the left and the right. And I don't disagree with some of the things that you just said. I guess I just came to a different conclusion, that there are some things that people should be deplatformed for. Not that they can't say it where they want to say it, but I think that it's a right of anybody.
Okay, top 3 things. What do you think?
There's a difference between being a...
Okay, top 3 things. Top 3 things. Top 3 things. Supporting genocide or supporting the Nazis has got to be number 1, right? Supporting the killing of, okay, because this one's gonna have to be really specific. Supporting the killing of anyone who has not been committed of a crime. That would be George Floyd. Say their names, right? Well, hold on. Okay, I don't want to include Charlie Kirk among those people, so I'm just gonna leave him out. But that was an assassination. I hope we're all clear about that. But George Floyd is a great example. And Alex Preddy and Renee Good. Alex Preddy and Renee Good. Rest in peace. Like those are 3 perfect examples, right? If you're saying those people deserved it, automatic deplatform. If you're saying the Holocaust didn't exist, the Jews deserve to die, like all that good stuff, supporting anything about Nazis or supporting Hitler, automatic deplatform. What would be number 3? So supporting Nazis, supporting the Holocaust, supporting the murder or killing of people who have not been committed of crimes. And I guess number 3 would probably be supporting war, but that's like more of a personal one. Supporting war and people are confirmed to be dying across the planet and you're like, yeah, this war is great. It's totally a good thing that this war is happening. That's just to me, that's just crazy. That should not be the case.
Well, to say that you're proud of your white heritage and also being just a flat out racist. I think.
Okay, well, proud of your white heritage. It's real. That is real bold to say that. You can't be proud of your white heritage. Yikes, that is bold.
If there's a difference between saying you're proud of your Christian heritage and the white culture from what you come from and Nazis, or that you adopt.
He's kind of right. If you're proud of your white heritage, you're probably proud of the Holocaust. Oh my gosh. Kneel before the crucifix. Okay.
The Nazism as a legitimate ideology. I think that there's a difference between saying that you disagree with the United States policy as it relates to Israel and saying that the Holocaust didn't exist.
That was like, Mom, Dad, Hitler was awesome. Hitler was right. And the Holocaust didn't happen. And my parents were like, we cannot believe
Those are those are
even
the
your
top
parents disagree
three
with you.
things
What
in
the
my
fuck?
mind. I know
Wait, so where'd you even learn this
that
shit?
you believe that some people took you out of context, and I do agree. Look, on both the right
What?
and the left, there are these gatekeepers, 100%. And look at me. The mainstream press just destroyed me
Yeah,
for
they
7 years
did.
without any real kind of reflection about what
That's
they were
so
doing.
sad,
I do
man.
think that,
That's so sad. If you're just related to the president, all of a sudden the news will just absolutely fucking slander your name. That is so sad. Just for money and publicity. That's it. Just because it's news. And if it's news, they're gonna slander you and make you look bad.
some of those things are legitimate reasons to say, we don't want you on our, on our commercial platform. Would you agree with that? I mean,
very
you just
sad.
said, for instance, people calling for like an armed revolution, like people calling for actual violence. You're opposed to.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
I'm against violence, and I do think those are one of the legitimate things that should be taken from the platform. There's a lot of the stuff on social media I don't agree with, but again, what started to happen is there was this like editorial censorship where certain ideas were banned, and it was such a broad brush. And also totally opaque and ad hoc. You'd be on YouTube, like I was, for example. They banned me for life and didn't even give me a reason. Not a specific quote, not a specific
that's what YouTube
infraction.
does,
and so you don't know what the rules are.
That's
You don't know
literally
what
what
the
YouTube
process
does.
is. They
You
just
do know
take
what
you
the rules
down.
are. They have the
And
rules posted on the
especially now when everything is digital, that's not just the social platforms, it's the other ones like Uber, Airbnb, whatever. It feels like you're being denied almost something like a civil right. The social platform, whatever.
You're just dumb. You're not allowed. This is basic common sense. You're not allowed to say what you want to say if what you want to say is extremely radical and like if you know what you're saying is wrong, like 90% of these people do, and you know what you're saying people aren't going to like and they aren't going to disagree, they're going to disagree with, at least like try to word it the right way. But that's probably pansy stuff. That's probably for pussies. Okay.
Denied almost.
Spotify cans Nick Fuentes' America First podcast for breaking hate speech rules. Wow.
Something like a civil right. The social platforms are the modern public square. Increasingly with Uber, Airbnb, the banking app.
Wait, what? Banned from 5 banks, 2 airlines, Airbnb, every payment processor, and every... Okay, well, I could totally understand how you feel like you're just being completely... But like, holy, I can't tell if this is overkill or not. Because why is the bank banning you? Like, what? Why?
You can't live your life without the tech platforms. And it felt like if you just simply had the wrong opinions or you were the wrong kind of person, you were being deprived of like a basic civil right or being able to participate in society.
Just don't have the wrong opinions.
And I think maybe that's an area of collaboration where we recognize maybe it is a civil right to use the digital platforms,
No, it's
but
not.
here are the rules.
No, no, there's a difference. There's a major difference between a right and a privilege. I think we all learned that in fucking, probably kindergarten or like elementary school, right? There's a big difference between a right and a privilege. It is a privilege to use the internet, even though the internet kind of takes over the entire world now, right? It's also a privilege to drive a car. You don't have to drive a car to get to work. You don't. You know you don't. It's just going to take way longer to get there otherwise. But it's still a privilege, and if you break the rules that you are very certainly aware of, because you have to be, right? Maybe that should be a thing. Maybe there should be like a little test that you have to take to be on YouTube, or to create videos on YouTube specifically, or to like create like an account on Twitter or something. Maybe there should be like a little test, little questions that you take where it's like, can you post this about black people? No, yes.
Say, here's what you can't say. Here's the process. Maybe there's a reconciliation mechanism. But, I mean, the censorship was just out of control. I don't think anyone disagrees there's a reasonable limit, though.
Yeah, no, I guess what I'm saying is that I don't see that as a result of left-wing or right-wing ideology. I view that kind of level of deplatforming. Look, I was debanked. I was debanked before I was ever even charged with anything. Damn. I lost every bank account. It took me, 9 months once they, the Trump administration, said that they were starting an investigation into me to be able to actually get a bank account again. And I don't want to tell you the bank because tomorrow they may debank me again. But my point is that those people are incredibly identifiable. I keep, like, I've been talking and going around, and I say things like, I don't think we are nearly as divided as they're telling us we are. Because I do believe that there are an identifiable group of people that are responsible for an enormous amount of the discord and division. Because
no, that's totally right. And another thing that you notice very quickly when you meet people who are on the exact opposite side of what you're talking about, there's the middle ground. That's why I love that show, Middle Ground. The middle ground is way easier to find than you think it is. It's just a lot of people get triggered easily nowadays. And when you let your emotions, take complete control of you, that's when we all start losing it just a little bit.
They make money off of it. I think that these social media companies that are controlled by, 3, 4, 5, individuals have made it clear that they only care about one thing. They only care about how much money they can produce for themselves and, the people that hold stocks in their company. Even to the degree where we know for certain that they're driving teenage girls to the highest levels of suicide by a factor, like exponential factors, directly related to the content that they're being pushed, and they won't do anything about it.
Right.
And so, to the same degree, I think they, a lot of what you call wokeness was maybe an illegitimate, but a financial decision based on a lot of these.
Corporate psyop, maybe.
Corporate psyop.
Thank you.
I mean, by the way,
Andrew loves that.
Exactly.
He's smiling.
He's smiling to back up real quick. So you talked about certain people going too far. About 2.5 months ago, I visited a whites-only community in Hardy, Arkansas. And I don't know why. I guess coming from like a more like left-wing place, I'm from Seattle. I kind of assumed there was like a united front on the right for some reason. So I'm out there. I'm chilling with these dudes. They're like sword fighting, having barbecues. It was, overall, it was a good time for them. I had a hard time connecting with them because I don't agree with them, but it's all good. I was having fun for a couple days. And then, like, right as I was there, I guess you had hit them up on X or something and said like, hey, I don't want to associate with you guys. What happened there?
Well, that was really more of a personal disagreement with the guy that founded it.
Yeah.
But I do think it's an interesting project. And it's interesting that got so much pushback, this whites-only community, because you know what? If you go to a lot of these different neighborhoods in major cities, there are ethnic enclaves.
What are you talking about? Ethnic enclaves where they don't allow any other race besides their own? I don't think... Maybe that's right. Oh, okay, maybe.
And it's not like there's an explicit rule that you have to be a certain ethnicity, but we all know in Chicago and New York and LA.
No, stop bringing up Chicago. Oh my God, you sound so racist. You sound so racist. Man thinks Chicago is Chirac and nothing else. What? So there's no good parts of Chicago. I'm guessing that's what you think. All of Chicago is just rampant with just dirty black people, right? That's what you think? Like, why does he keep mentioning Chicago, man? Oh my gosh. And what are you even saying about New York? New York is so...
certain neighborhoods where it is 80, 90% one ethnicity.
Yeah.
And I think there's a lot of white people that say we kind of want something similar. I don't think there's anything
weird. That's crazy.
Well, okay, let's back up. If you want to talk about the histories of, New York and Chicago, I feel like that was also a conscious decision that was made like after the Civil Rights Act.
Blacks only. It's in Cabrini Green, where Mayor Daley made everybody that was black live in the Cabrini Green. I mean, it's not, it wasn't by choice. It's not by choice that these ethnic enclaves are 80 or 90%, whatever that ethnicity is. It's because that's the only place in which they had an opportunity to live unbothered, or where they were told that they had to live because of the historical fact that they could not move into other neighborhoods. You could not move into parts of South Chicago without, being stoned.
Right.
Literally, right?
Yeah,
and so, like so it's not as if those ethnic enclaves are there by choice. Also,
ethnic enclaves do exist for like specific variations of different Europeans. Like, there is like places that are chocolate. Like South Philly's full of Italians.
But there's Little Italy and there's Little Korea.
So I think the issue, I always like,
I think the big difference is, do they prevent anyone outside of their own race from coming in? Like, is it like that? Because that's what that community is like.
Excuse me, the most about the whites only community is like there's just so many different kinds of white people in America. You know, so like to establish a unified white culture with a place so diverse and full of like different regional flavors just kind of felt confusing to me. Because that could mean a different thing depending on what part of the country or what European enclave you originated from. Like we're Irish people from the Philly area.
Exactly. You always, the one people I always think of when we talk about white people that aren't just, you know, the generic white person is like the Irish, the Swedish, the Italians is like a great example.
Compare that to like, you know, surfers in San Diego or even like, you know, Italian Americans in Staten Island.
Yeah.
I don't know, everything just feels so different. So when I got there, I was trying to identify what they meant by white culture. It wasn't really based on shared like cultural practices, but more the exclusion of people who weren't white. So they weren't like stoked on being European necessarily. They were more just like, oh, we're here because those people aren't here. So it just kind of felt more negative.
We're here because those people aren't here. Yeah, just the community built off of hatred and neglect.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I'm not really involved with that project in particular, but I think that, look, I mean, you talk about the anger that's out there and the frustration, and I think part of the frustration, let's be honest, is that white people do feel like we are being boxed out in major cities in the country, and it feels like, look, there's a little Haiti, and there's various ethnic enclaves where you get that local culture, and they do their, you know, cultural festivals and that sort of thing, and white people feel like they're being pushed out, and they want a space where things are familiar.
Do you feel the same way about...
Things are familiar? What do you mean by that? Let's make America great again. Let's bring it back to the old days. No, that's just a joke, I promise.
Italian festival that happens in every city.
Well, here's a good example. So,
or St. Patrick's Day?
Well, you know, there's no Irish neighborhood in Chicago. Little Italy.
Sure there is.
I mean, there's some remnant in Bridgeport.
Yeah. It's important to note that, like, and I'm not trying to get into like a shouting match here, but like, you know, as a family who did coming from a family who did leave Philadelphia in the 60s because of black migration from the South after the Civil Rights Act was passed, there was a sort of like mass flight of white people into the suburbs, and that kind of led to a homogenization of different cultures because they rushed so fast to build these like identical strip mall suburbs that it was very hard to maintain cultural bonds that made different European and white neighborhoods unique around like the 1950s and before. So I feel like the mass suburbanization is also a big factor that led to those like cultural bonds breaking.
Yeah, but why did that happen? I mean, a lot of the suburbanization is because of the race riots in the 1960s. People moved out because of the violence. You know, my grandfather was in the National Guard in Chicago when, after MLK got assassinated, the whole West Side burned to the ground.
Yeah,
people
as it should. I mean, not maybe. Okay, hold on. But like, it sounds like you're saying that anger wasn't warranted when the greatest, literally the greatest, like, black man who spoke up about, you know, the injustice in our country towards our people was assassinated, right? It's only understandable that your people would absolutely flip out. Like, that makes sense.
Why were there riots?
Yeah, MLK Jr. was assassinated.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so does that justify burning down the city?
No, nobody's saying it's justified, but it's understandable for sure. No doubt it's understandable. What did we do on January 6th? Okay, let me stop. Let me stop. Hey, listen, man, all I'm saying is nobody died for January 6th to happen. That's all I'm saying. At least I don't think so. Forgive me if I'm wrong, but I don't remember any extremely important figure among white people being assassinated in order for that event to occur.
I'd say it justifies it, but it sure justifies an enormous amount of the anger, the same kind of anger that you feel about being left out, the same kind of anger that you're expressing right now about the idea that you're culturally irrelevant, that you don't have a place in society. Imagine if you were a 26-year-old black man in 1968 and saw your hero be assassinated.
I saw Trump get shot in the ear and...
Bro, it's not the same. Don't compare those things at all, man. What? No. That's not the same thing. It's kind of crazy that happened, though. Seriously.
And I saw Charlie Kirk get shot, and I didn't see any cities
burned. Whoa! I haven't seen that video. Oh, what the fuck? I know it was blurred, but jeez, man, I have not seen that. That was wow. Okay, I guess we've seen that clip now. Anyway, well, there's no rewinding now. I mean, we might as well just continue. Jesus.
Down. It's funny how that works.
There's no way you compared Martin Luther King Jr. to Charlie Kirk. That's what you just did, it sounds like, and that's insane.
Very, very different thing. I think
how's that different? Charlie Kirk got shot in the neck.
Yeah.
and liberals celebrated all over social media by Tyler Robinson.
Yeah, they did.
Who is what?
Who is
That shit is embarrassing, by the way. This I can't believe you had the balls to do that. Like, I can't believe
celebrate.
I can't believe that you're actually posting
all over social media.
You're like proud of this. Preying on his down, man. You're actually like, I still can't believe that this happened. That people actually were like, yeah, fuck yes, man's dead. Let's go. Like, that's actually disgusting.
By Tyler Robinson.
Yeah. Who is what?
Who is some liberal guy.
He is?
Mm-hmm.
But
he's got a transgender boyfriend.
So that makes him liberal? Because he's transgender? Because he's gay?
So. Well, because he's got a transgender boyfriend, yeah, I think so.
How does that make what?
It makes him liberal.
I think he was liberal, yeah.
Okay. Well, he didn't come from a liberal family.
Oh, wait. Whoa. I did not
It makes him liberal.
I think he was liberal, yeah.
Okay.
Oh, I didn't. Oh, come on, man. Of course this is news, right, guys? Of course this is news. Oh my gosh, the assassin had a trans partner. Oh, these people are evil. Yep, trans people aren't people. It's official. Like, bro, what are they? These news articles are so disgusting, man. It's like they want to tell the truth, but their version of the truth in order to get you to like think a certain type of way. Oh my God. The news just seems so like controlling. It's like, it's just, I don't know. It's just upsetting.
Well, he didn't come from a liberal family. He didn't come from a liberal enclave. He didn't come from a liberal background. He's not a minority. He was a Mormon, correct?
Mm-hmm.
And grew up in a Mormon household.
With a trans partner? Oh, wow. That's interesting.
And he went to a largely Mormon college, and he ended up committing an act of violence, according to the FBI and the authorities in Utah that charged him. How does that in any way compare to what we're talking about? I'm not justifying the violence that occurred after the death of Martin Luther King, but you're saying that person, this Tyler, whoever his name is was as disenfranchised as the African-American community in 1968 in inner cities?
Well, the question is who we want to live around.
I'm not living around blacks. Sorry. I want white kids, and I don't want my white kids bringing home black people to marry.
You can't do that. Oh my God, that's literally a perfect example of what I was just talking about. That's not your choice, buddy. I dare you to have children and try to prevent your children from falling in love with other races. It would be laughable to watch that occur. You have a daughter and you're like, oh, honey, but you can't have a black boyfriend. But honey, you can't date anyone who's outside of the white culture. Yeah. Go ahead and see how that works for you, buddy. Go ahead. I want you to have children and to try to get them to only be with a white person. That's the most ridiculous shit I've ever heard in my entire life. Even suggesting the idea of that to your kids, you should. And it's like, I understand it because my family has done that with me too. It's understandable, but it's so gross because that's not your choice. You haven't even had children yet, and you've already decided that they're not allowed to date outside of their race. You're a moron, and you'd be a horrible parent. Yeah, if you don't already know, let me make sure to remind people, you can't control your children. They'll do what they want, and if you try to tell them to not do something, they'll probably do the exact opposite. A lot.
The 1960s, the West Side burns down. We don't want to live around that. We don't want to live around a city that's burning down.
That's not when the white flight happened.
It is. It was a big response to it. Absolutely.
100% not.
Absolutely.
You make these historical connections that don't exist. Part of it was potentially, but before that, what Mayor Daley did is made Chicago the most segregated city in the entire United States, other than Boston. When you would come from the South to Chicago, African Americans from the South, blacks in the South coming to Chicago would say that Chicago was twice the level of segregation and racism that occurred in the South. And so it wasn't as if you're coming into a situation in which you're feeling in any way enfranchised by the community and the situation that you're in. And as many people left simply because of the idea that someone was black moving into their neighborhood as the violence that occurred after the assassination of Martin Luther King. So the numbers actually, pre-1968, when King was shot, you had more people leave the city because of the desegregation, because of the 1964 Civil Rights Act, than you did after the riots.
I think that's just not true. I think that the race riots were a huge driver of white flight to the suburbs. I think it's just dishonest to say that's not the case.
Okay, so what's your point about all this?
Well, we're talking about where people want to live.
Yeah, I know. So like what in 2026?
Well, how about in 2020 when Minneapolis burned to the ground, or how about in...
That's different. That was 2020. That was one of the worst years of the last, I don't know, decade probably.
The summer of 2020 in Chicago.
Minneapolis didn't burn to the ground.
It didn't?
No. I mean, there were
BLM didn't destroy dozens of structures.
If you guys need a physical witness to what happened in Minneapolis, there were many structures that burned to the ground. Not the city, but there was, I would say, between 40 to 50 buildings off of Lake Street in the south side that did burn to the ground. But most of the city was intact, but it was quite
he literally grabbed the shirt off the rack. Yo, I need to go back and watch Andrew's old videos. They look like some of the most fire content that I've ever seen in my life.
People don't want to live around that. People don't want to live around that. You know, in Chicago, it rolled on into the summer, and it wasn't, you know, let's say...
Why does he keep bringing up Chicago, man? He sounds racist every time he brings up Chicago. Every time.
Anger of the oppressed and the disenfranchised.
So
they were looting. They were looting and carjacking. The criminals.
Are you saying that the problem with the 26-year-old white kid living in suburbia outside of Chicago and his feeling of being disenfranchised is because there was looting and rioting in Minneapolis by black people?
Yeah.
And it's black people that are doing it.
Yeah. I mean, the problem with Austin Metcalf was that he got stabbed in the neck at a track meet. And the problem with our city in Chicago is that...
You want to start bringing up... Ooh, I'm not going to... Hey, rest in peace to our young black men who are passing away right now. That's all I'm gonna say. It's just, and I understand that we're losing people on both sides, right? Just when it comes to black people and white people, but it's just. It shouldn't upset me to hear that he brings up some white guy that I don't know about, right? That's the thing. Like, me as a young black person, I don't know about violence towards white people because that's not what news is being, that's not the news that's being put in my face. That's not the news that I keep myself around. The news that I usually see is young black men being killed by white people. That's just being real, especially right now. Especially today. And if you know, you know. I'm not going to, I also don't really remember their names because I don't really keep up with it. But, hey, man, that's just like, that's something that I just realized just now. It's like, I don't think I could name a single white person that's had violence done towards them by black people unjustifiably. I can't. But I can name at least probably 5 minimum, maybe 10 black people who have been killed by white people unjustifiably. And I don't know if that's a news thing or if that's just a me thing. Like, that's just not the type of news that I'm looking for. But I don't know, man. Just something I realized.
The Magnificent Mile is gone. Water Tower Place is gone because of all the crime.
Nick, and the type of an entire generation of African Americans is that they've been getting killed by cops for decades.
That's
what are you talking about, Nick?
Because they commit crime. And listen, it's not...
Nick,
what?
That's not true. It's not true. Are you saying that police brutality as it relates and racism in the police force in the way in which...
2.5x more likely than whites to be killed by police.
Police treat African Americans... Nick,
damn,
you can
say their names, bro. Oh my god.
Grow up here like I did between Wilmington and Philadelphia. And if you were a black dentist and you lived in Wilmington and you commuted to Philadelphia, the chances of you being pulled over by a state trooper, either Delaware or in Pennsylvania, are about 50 times that would be if it was a white guy. 50 times. And so what you're trying to tell me is that the problem in America right now is that a 26-year-old white kid who lives in suburban Chicago doesn't feel like he has access because he's been canceled canceled or he's been woke, and the problem is black people.
I didn't say the problem's black people.
Well, you just did, Nick. You just
said
said
the problem is crime, and we know who's doing the crime in Chicago. The carjackings, shootings, teen takeovers. We know why there's no business on the Mag Mile anymore, and it's because they steal cars, they drive them through windows. And listen, black people are some of the biggest victims of the black crime.
Hold on. Wait. Oh, don't let him start spitting now. Don't let him start spitting. Because low-key, that's something I've been saying for a long time. And I mean a long time. If you're out here committing crimes as one of us, you're not one of us, okay? If you're a black person, you're out here doing gang violence, stealing cars, robbing people, just committing crimes, just being one of them, bro. You are making black people look bad. You are ruining your own race, destroying the reputation of your own people. That is the most embarrassing thing. And I don't know if that's the point that he's trying to make, but that is something that I believe. The people with dark skin like me that are going out and doing horrible stuff like that, you are ruining the reputation of your race every single day that you go out and you commit crimes and you do stupid shit that you think, oh, you can just do or whatever. I don't know what their mindset is, but that's just embarrassing every time.
We're not allowed to talk about it because of the racial
What do you mean
dimension.
you're not allowed to talk about it? We're talking about it right here. You have a platform in which millions of people listen to you, Nick.
I think
well, after Elon.
Oh, man. Andrew's trying to get a word in. Andrew hasn't said much at all. He's really just letting them talk to each other, which I kind of like, but I wish he would, say something more. Andrew's kind of like the fact check.
And had to buy Twitter and open it up. It wasn't like that before. I was banned from everything for many years. So no, you weren't allowed to. You're right. We could talk about it now, but that's only because the good guys won.
Hey, what's up, guys?
He said that's only because the good guys won? Okay, so I'm guessing this is going to be a C5 now. Yeah, I'm guessing this is going to be a C5 now, Ed. We're going to move past that because we've seen that a couple times now.
Shithead Donald Trump is. We can get there. Okay. What I don't understand is how you didn't recognize that in 2016, and how you didn't recognize that in 2020, and how you didn't recognize.
We need to build a wall, a great big wall.
Is that in 2024? Because Donald Trump hasn't. 24. Because Donald Trump hasn't changed. Donald Trump hasn't changed at all. Donald Trump has been Donald Trump since he came out of the womb of a woman that was an immigrant to this country.
Whoa. Okay, no. He didn't say anything bad about her, that's fire. Yes, wait, no way. Yes, Donald Trump's mother, Mary Ann McLeod? Wow, that's a hell of a name. Was an immigrant. She was born in Tong, a remote fishing village on the Isle of Lewis in Scotland. And immigrated to New York City. Wow, New York City. In 1930 at the age of 18. She worked as a domestic servant, before marrying real estate developer Fred Trump in 1936. You can read more about her background.
And so what I want to know, though, is that I don't know how we get past this idea that the biggest problem that you have that with your personal situation and how you extrapolate that to the situation of other white kids that are your age, that feel disenfranchised, that feel left out, that feel they don't have a shot at the American dream, is because of black and brown people, because of Mexicans, because of Venezuelans, because of Haitians, it's always other, Nick, with you. It seems to me, and I've listened to a lot of the stuff. It's always them. We need to build a wall. Where's the wall, Nick? He never built the wall. Why'd you vote for him in 2020? Why'd you vote for him in 2024?
I didn't vote for him in 2024.
Okay. My point being is that whenever you identify your problem as being something that is other, that you can point to, that's a minority, that is a group of people, that's the Jews, before, remember, all of us, it was the Irish Catholics who were all committing the crime, who weren't allowed into bars, who weren't allowed into, because you know why? Because they were dirty, poor, non-Europeans. They were Irish. Every time it's wrong. Every time history has proven that to be wrong in the United States of America. Every time. Inclusion has been our greatest strength. Diversity has been our greatest strength. And I hear you talk about this idea of white culture. What fucking white culture are you talking about, man? What
Shakespeare, Dante, Mozart. We're in Philadelphia. The founding fathers.
Yeah.
That's your white culture.
How about the Count of Monte Cristo? Would you consider that part of our white culture?
Sure.
Okay, well, it was written by a black man in France in
Yes.
the 1700s.
In a milieu of European civilization.
So what?
Because
so
you're
what? It's
picking
not white or
you're
black,
picking out one
Nick.
example. It really
I'm not
is.
just picking out one example.
It really is.
Nick.
That's listen.
Nick, I'm not. I really am not.
Hey guys, I think we're reaching what's called a rock and a hard place. Let's talk about Israel.
Well, let me respond to this because you're telling me I'm always blaming the other.
No, Nick, for real. Here's the thing, is that the way that you talk and throw out these historical facts, which, by the way, aren't fucking facts. Okay?
Which ones aren't facts?
Well, as it relates to the Civil Rights Movement in 1968, and the reason why we're out in the problem that we're in is because the Civil Rights Act passed in 1964. Dr. Martin Luther King was killed and shot by a white racist, white supremacist in 1968 on a balcony of a motel. That's the root of our trouble, because an entire people that have been disenfranchised and enslaved for over 400 years.
We're sick of hearing about that, though. It's 2026.
What do you mean? Who's sick of hearing? Well, actually, some people are sick of hearing about that. I'm not gonna lie. It gets kind of tiring after you've seen like the 30th movie.
And enslaved for over 400 years.
We're sick of hearing about that, though. It's 2026.
You may be sick of hearing about it, but you know what? They aren't.
True.
And I'll tell you what, Nick, here's the other thing.
Get over it is crazy. Get over it is crazy. Nobody, regardless of how sick you are about hearing about it, nobody says get over it. That's ridiculous.
It's America.
But
America
Nick, you can say stuff like that, okay, without having to say it like that. And look,
that's not how it started, though.
This is a legitimate argument, but it's Nick.
Guys, Nick, Hunter, what do you guys make of the concept of community collapse? Have you guys heard of this?
No.
So it's got nothing to do with race, got nothing to do with money, but this is kind of a crazy stat. So in 2019, before COVID, 76% of Americans said they were a part of an in-person community that gave them some kind of value. After
that's so sad.
COVID, and this year it was 19%. So I think that politics and race aside, one of the biggest issues is the collapse.
Connected to their 54% of Americans feel connected to their local community.
It was 19%. So I think that politics and race aside, one of the biggest issues.
America is becoming less neighborly, and it's hurting Gen Z and millennials' chance at economic mobility. I guess.
Issues is the collapse of social bonds, third spaces, communities.
Yeah, third spaces are dying, but I think that's just because some of the third spaces were shitty, and because of a lot of our third places were like bars, and alcohol's like not as popular as it used to be. It's like turned into like hookah bars, and nobody wants to go to a hookah bar either. Nobody wants to club because clubbing sucks, and all the stuff is too expensive anyway.
In-person engagement, which comes with loneliness, more time online, and more division. Yeah, I understand that. I feel like you guys aren't going to agree. I want to talk about what you guys think can be done on an individual and community level to stop people from hating each other and to create more belonging and engagement.
Well,
okay. What can we do to create more belonging and engagement and stop people from hating each other? I think my very first idea that just comes to mind immediately is neighborhood meetings, right? Where everybody in the neighborhood comes and gets together. Not really neighborhood, just like citywide council meetings. You know what I mean? Where like maybe anybody in the city who wants to come together and talk about stuff, you all come together, you meet in one room, you record it, and you talk about some problems that might be happening in your city, your town, your neighborhood, right? I think stuff like that, where you all, there's a certain day, because I think it used to be like church, but church really isn't, that's not the move nowadays. So it used to be, like church, like the bars, like clubs, I don't know, stuff like that. But now it's really just the internet, and the internet kind of drives people apart more than it keeps people connected. Well, I think the internet keeps people connected way better than anything else, but it's also like a place with so much hatred and negativity. It's just not it. It's just not one of those spaces, regardless of how hard people will try to create that space. Like people that I love, like Dan Giesling, they create this positive, loving environment on their streams, right? I really can't think of any other communities that do that loving, positive community other than Dan Giesling, because he's just my go-to when I want to have a good day, man. But but no, yeah, like neighborhood meetings where you can all come together, you can meet some of your friends, you guys can all just talk about things that are going on. I think that might be a great place to start. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong.
Number one, I think this.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Also debating. A lot of people think debating is not cool. Debating helps us find middle ground and helps us come to rational conclusions about things that we might disagree with.
Real.
Podcasting.
No, not podcasting, this discussion. For me to be able to sit down with someone who I so vehemently disagree with and find some kind of common ground.
Yes.
I don't want, look,
Guy at home who's watching this on his phone just thinking, I wish I could go outside, but I don't know anyone.
Okay, well, here's what I'm talking about. It's all about connection. It is all about actually connecting with people. And I'm not talking about digitally connecting with people anonymously online. I'm talking about actually going out and connecting with people. And I don't
How do you find a space where you can go out and connect with people? I guess that's probably the question that Andrew is posing. How do you find a space where you can actually go out and connect with people that also want to connect with you? But we've been searching for that for years, Andrew. Like speed dating is like, well, I mean, that's like more of like a dating thing, but like speed dating is like one of those ones where it's like, you'll go out to speed dating and one of the first questions the person will ask you is like, so why are you doing speed dating? Like, are you like depressed or like lonely or like, super desperate? That's like the same thing with the dating apps nowadays. I feel like the only people who go on dating apps are the people who are like super desperate, super lonely, and super depressed. But that, I might be wrong. That might just be a crazy take. But like, where could people go? Because I mean, and I think it's just like a big thing that breaks that down is like, everybody's got a motive. Like if you're a girl, right? And you're going out to like a club or a bar and you're a single girl, your motive is usually to find a partner, a boyfriend. If you're a guy and you're going out, I mean, it's usually just that thing. Maybe this is just what I've been thinking about lately, but like it's usually just that thing about like how guys and girls can't really be friends because then it pushes guys to be friends with guys. And that's like, I love hanging out with the homies, but I don't know. There's neither here nor there. I'm very curious. I think we've been trying to figure out the third space thing for a really long time. And a lot of the third spaces like bars, clubs, I mean, where else besides? Because bars and clubs are kind of just like hookup spots. You know what I mean? And besides that, like, I don't know. Is there even any, like, what other third space? Like a coffee shop, I guess? I don't know.
To that, I don't any of us. We are in a look, man. I just think that you are targeting the wrong problem, Nick. I think that our biggest problem right now doesn't have to do with a
throughout Andrew's question. Wait.
About actually going out and connecting with people. And I don't have an answer to that. I don't any of us. We are in a look, man. I just think that you are targeting the wrong problem, Nick. I think that our biggest problem right now doesn't have to do with a this cultural divide or racial divide or religious divide or the idea that America is becoming less white or less culturally relevant anymore. I think our biggest problem is literally an oligarchy that is inflaming every single division that we have. And by the way, and they're out for you, man, just as much as anybody else.
Well, and I agree.
So those platforms that we talk about that you're not allowed to be on because Elon's out on the platform. Elon doesn't give a shit about anything other than one thing.
But Hunter, I just want to say
money.
Real quick.
Money and his money.
I don't necessarily even agree with that.
Okay, you may not agree with that because you don't want to piss off Elon Musk.
Elon doesn't even like me, but I just disagree.
You're talking about the oligarchy, right? Like these billionaires, right? Like the goal of corporate capture of these industries is community collapse. They are trying.
Christ, the loneliness thing is really depressing to see constantly. That's really sad, man. That's really sad.
To engineer things to make it antisocial. They want to eliminate every single small.
I disagree with that, though. I don't think they want. And if they want that, they're dumb because that's not going to happen.
Business, they want to make everyone a single person shopper, no carpooling, like to be a lonely consumer
that's
who only.
That's never going to happen, ever. That will never occur. Like, you'd have to be dumb to attempt to get that to be the case. That's not possible.
Buys things for themselves online and doesn't talk to anyone in real life. That's what they want in real life. Like all this data center shit, like everything they're doing is in a way trying to break up in person.
You have to be a fool to break people up like that. Maybe, hey, if you made everybody rich, yeah, that might happen. They might all just hang out with themselves or like just their partner. But like, no, people are going to find ways to save money. That will never occur. I don't know why you would even try to do that.
Engagement.
Makes no
and I feel like for you guys, might be hard to answer because both of you guys are what they call like controversial public figures. Like there's places that you, like in 2018, if you were to go to a dive bar in, let's say, Poplar Bluff, Missouri, you would have been in danger. You know what I mean? At that time.
Actually.
For you were in danger physically in a left-wing city. It's just the truth.
Many times.
So I feel like you guys have been deprived of the ability to have normal lives. You especially, you know, but I mean you in general. But
oh, smart, Andrew. Okay, smart. That's why you got them to come together and have a conversation. Okay, I see you.
I feel like, you know, your controversies came a little bit later in life. For you, I feel like you haven't even been able to grow up as a normal person. Is that accurate to say?
Yeah, that's true. Well, and in terms of, you know, building community back and everything like that, you know, the data says that really the loss of society is the fact that we don't encounter people anymore. For example, on your way to work or, you know, in ways that are unexpected. People wake up in their house, which is separate from everybody else. They get in their...
Okay, well, where are you supposed to wake up? Outside on the grass? Wake up in the community pile that we all sleep together? Like what? Yeah, we're going to wake up separate and then we're going to...
car by themselves, drive to work.
Yeah, no, we should all just get in the bus together. Yeah, no, that's not happening.
Work by themselves, you know, and then they meet with their colleagues and everything, but then they go right home. Go home, have a beer.
I mean, most people don't go right home. If they do, they're probably like, you know, introverts. A lot of people go straight out right after work. Or, you know, unless they have work the next day, they have to get up. That's called being responsible. I don't know.
Watch Netflix until they go to bed. Next day starts all over again. And so, you know, I think it has a lot to do with maybe how we structure the cities. I think, honestly, a big part of it, there's like this abundance mindset with liberals. Liberals want to have prosperity and everything like that. How can you have that when the cities are not safe? I think that one of the ways, for example, if you want to have those encounters that are unplanned or spontaneous, they're going to happen maybe on the subway, on the bus.
Does he think that he's... No, first of all, broke people are getting on the subway and the bus. Everybody wants to have a car. Having a car is sweet. I understand that. That's probably why car insurance is absolutely insane and why gas prices are absolutely insane, because everybody wants to have a car because having a car is sick. And once all of the companies that want to take all of your money, give me all the money. Yes, I need all the money now, right? Once all of those companies want every little penny that you have because they know that cars are really cool and everybody wants one. They realize that they jacked up all the prices. Now everybody's just broke. I mean, I don't know. I just can't help but think that one thing that so many people are pissed about is the gas prices. And none of us would have to worry about gas prices if we didn't all have vehicles. Because the way he's kind of right. The way that the cities are structured is built around, like, you usually can't get to work unless you have a vehicle because you got to take the highway. Most people have to take the highway, especially in certain cities. You'll literally be screwed without a car. So I don't know what his point is.
People don't want to ride the subway anymore. People don't want to ride the bus.
I just feel that if you look at the data, like right now, 2026, I think 2025 had the lowest homicide rate of any year in America for like the past 4 years.
That's crazy.
I feel like if you compare data from the 90s, like the cities, I get what you're saying, but the cities I have noticed are a lot safer. They're also, you know,
safer.
Becoming more expensive as well. It could have something to do with it.
You're absolutely right. It's what you're saying, Nick, is impossible to refute, right? Because everybody has an experience with violence or witnessing a crime, or whether it's just in their local newspaper or not. Is that I don't think that is in any way limited to only urban environments. I take the top 10 poorest red states in the country, and their crime rates are 10 times what many urban centers are.
So you'd be comparing like West Virginia, coal country, disenfranchised to like an urban neighborhood.
Yeah, in terms of per capita crime, in terms of per capita murder.
Whoa. California's homicide rate is lower than Alabama's, Arkansas's, and okay, that's WRAL news coverage you can count on. Okay, good to know.
In terms of per capita child sexual abuse.
Jeez, man, these numbers.
Yeah. I think the things that people really care about, you know, things like that, is their own personal safety. Yeah. It is not limited to African-American urban or Latino-American urban environments.
Yeah,
it's not. It exists. Carjackings do happen, but you know where they happen? They happen in Biloxi, Mississippi, just as much as they happen in Chicago.
I'm skeptical of that.
I mean, I just think the idea of like safety at risk crime has been, I feel like media has overblown the level of danger.
Everybody's going to fact check both of us on this. And but I agree with you. But my point about all of it is that you can always point to a reason, Nick. There's never been a time in which there hasn't been crime in major urban areas where you pack a lot of people in. You're right, though, is that the difference between us feeling like each other were our neighbors and that we can find some common ground is the fact, you can live in existence now and by the time you're 56 years old and never really have to leave your house to make a living, to, you don't go to the community center anymore. And I don't know how to fix
that's
that.
actually
And I certainly
a major contributor. And that's something that I probably bring up King of the Hill a lot, but that's something that King of the Hill mentioned is like, that I thought was just like I just thought it was very interesting, is Bill. If you don't know King of the Hill, then there's this dude, right? I can't believe I'm actually talking about this. There's this dude called Bill Dotrieve, okay? And over the course of 2020, he got really big. And the reason that he states for getting really big is because he says like something like, oh, you can order anything now. And it's like, yeah, bro. Uber Eats, DoorDash, Grubhub, you got fucking Amazon. Like, you can order it literally. You don't have to go anywhere. You can bring everything to you. You can bring drugs to you. You can deliver drugs to your house now. Like, you don't even have to go out to get the drugs that you want. You don't have to go out to get the alcohol you want. You don't have to go out to get food or technology or anything. As long as you've got the money and you've got the patience to sit there on your phone and confirm your ID and do all that stuff, you can bring everything to you. So yeah, I would say that probably contributes in a major way to the loneliness epidemic, because you literally don't even have to go out and talk to anybody anymore. You just have shit delivered straight to you. I've always said that, like, I love DoorDash and Uber Eats. I love like the simplicity of it, but I do think they need to be erased from existence permanently. Same thing with like Uber, just Uber in general. And Amazon can stay. Amazon can stay, but all the other ones, they got to go. I can't help but, and in your heart of hearts that they shouldn't exist. They charge way too much anyway, so I think we'd be better off without them.
Back to
With
politics,
AI.
right? Because community is like an essential human need, if not the most important thing. So when you are deprived of that, you're more likely to look for a radical solution and be like, everything's broken. We need to try something really out there.
That's why these people keep coming out and doing this, because they think this is community. This is not community. This is protest. You guys are all coming together to say no to something.
You might embrace something more reactionary on left or right to be like, fuck this, we need something new. And I'm not trying to draw this like male loneliness, like incel pipeline that the media tries to do all the time. But do you see a connection there between like people being lonely and having less friends and subcultural
absolutely.
choice taking over community value systems or community engagement and people just like driving to the extreme?
100%. I think social
Never mind. I was gonna say, just real quick, I think that might be one of the reasons that I personally want to start a platform, is so that I can bring people together as a community, still over the internet, obviously, but so I can have my own community of people to talk to. I think that's probably a big reason, honestly.
dislocation is probably the number one problem of our times, because you look
Dislocation.
at the young people and you're right, it is one of those essential human needs, is to connect and have that sense of familiarity, to really to be seen, to see and to be seen. And that's something young people don't have. And I think, by the way,
Except
you
on
look
the
at the way
internet.
young people socialize and even the mentality, I think a lot of young people have this absolute drive to go to college. Why? It's an extension of high school. And what do high school and college have in common? It's a community. You're in the quad. You can see and be seen.
True.
There's sort of like
one of the only reasons that I want to go back to school. Actually, I keep thinking like, man, I want to go back to school so bad. And then I remember homework exists. And I'm like, oh yeah, never mind. But then I'm like, damn, I want to go back to school though. Because like, school's not the same. High school and college are not the same. But just like he said, it is like literally like an extension of high school, which is really sad that people don't want to leave high school. That is so depressing. Some people only go to college because they desperately don't want to leave high school because they don't know what they're going to do afterwards. What am I going to do? Something I've heard so many times. What am I going to do? Just work the rest of my life and then die? Come on, man. Don't think like that. That's not smart.
reputation. You're constantly involved with other people. And I think everybody, young people, look at when they graduate from college like falling off a cliff and now life is over.
That's
now you just
so dumb, first of all, and depressing. But I understand how you could think that way. But how about just think for a few more seconds of what life is? Life is not school, man. Never has been. Life has never been school, and life has never been work. Go live life. And I'm not going to tell you how to do that because you should know how to do that.
The gym and going back home, and that's it. And
No,
this is
you're
why a
dumb
lot
if
of
you
young
think
people
that.
then
You're
want to
dumb.
move to the big cities. Got to go to New York, got to go to Chicago or LA where it's happening. And they want to get a condo or an apartment downtown because they want to go to the bar scene and extend college a little bit longer.
That's
and
so depressing.
and I think that's just not really a sustainable way to have a society. There
No,
has to
it's
be a
not.
way for people to still have that sense of community outside of, let's say, college and high school, even into their adulthood and then into their old age. So yeah, I mean, that's one of the biggest problems going on. And I agree. I think it drives, even to your point about the whites-only community in Arkansas, I think it is driving these, let's call it ghettoization or insulation of people going into these artificial values-based communities.
Yeah.
Because where are you going to find people? Go online. Go online, start spouting about politics or, even not just for incels and right-wingers, but even on the left. Someone like Tyler Robinson, he's on Discord. He's on Discord with all of the Overwatch players and all the LGBTQ or whatever. And I think that, there's a tendency there where everybody kind of amplifies some of the resentment or feelings there. So I agree, that's a huge driver.
So for you, like back in high school when you were like first kind of starting to use the internet and all that, did you build most of your community in person outside Chicago, or was it mostly online?
When I was in high school or college?
High school.
The high school I had real friends in Model UN. That was my favorite thing. So that was.
But you were still creating like some kind of content at that time?
Not in high school, no.
Okay. So you went to BU?
Yes.
Were most of your friends like classmates there? Like when did you start to kind of build your online persona and community around your content?
It wasn't until I left college. So to that
that's
point.
Literally what I just said. As soon as you leave school, that's when you have most of your, online.
I had friends in college. And then when I left college and started my show independently, then it was all people online. And everybody I knew was people from my community for the most part.
But your cancellation from mainstream platforms was effectively the same thing as like a community collapse for your personal life, right?
Yeah, well, I wouldn't even say it was just the cancellation, but even more just returning home from college.
What do you think would have happened to you, like career-wise and personal life-wise, if you never would have been mainstreamed? I mean, I guess removed from major social media platforms.
Oh, it'd be a lot easier to make friends. Let's say, because being banned on Instagram, you might as well be dead. In Generation Z, that's how everybody sees each other, meets each other, talks to each other.
Okay, well, I don't have Instagram, so I guess I'm dead. That's good to know.
Each other, so I think I probably
don't have Instagram or Twitter or TikTok, so I guess I'm dead.
Have a wider, livelier circle.
Do you feel like you had less friends after that?
No, I'd say it's about the same.
No, but I mean, you said that you feel like it would have been easier to make friends.
It would have been easy to make more friends. Yeah, sure.
So aside from your career,
I think the reason you probably can't make very many friends is because none of them agree with your ideology. And they probably realize that after you talk to them for like a few minutes.
Was your personal and social life affected in those following years?
Well, it's brutal, I mean, because everybody that I knew from high school is on Instagram, on Facebook, and I'm just not on there. It's almost like you're removed from the earth. For Generation Z, I understand for older people, for different generation, people still meet up or stay in touch in other ways. But if you're not online as a young person, you might as well be dead.
Do you think you would have said some of the more extreme things that you did say if you, I guess, were allowed to remain on the mainstream internet?
Absolutely, yeah.
Looking back, and I'm not trying to get you to take something back necessarily, what's one thing that you said when you were younger where you're like, fuck, wish I could take that back?
I don't know if I regret what I've said. It's just how you say it.
Yeah, can you think of an example of when you listen back to something, you're like, jeez, I wish I could.
So I did this rally in 2023 called Fuentes Rally 2, and the one comment I said, we're talking about a spiritual battle between Christians and everybody else, and I said, we're in a holy war.
That's evil.
I said, and we're going to make them die in a holy war. And the second I said that, I was like, didn't mean to say that. It's an extemporaneous speech, so you don't rehearse it, you just say things, and I was like, didn't mean that. Shouldn't have said that.
We're gonna make them die.
So it's always the how. It's always in the didn't mean that.
Make them die
Shouldn't have said
in the
that.
holy war.
So it's.
You see his little mouth? He's like, oh fuck.
It's always the how.
I shouldn't have said that. You can see it in his face.
Oh, it's always in the delivery that I.
It's always in the delivery.
I can think of about 4 things that I really wish you would take back right now. But the cookies in the oven.
Well, it's a joke.
But it's not, Nick.
That's not a
My
joke,
wife is
Nick.
Jewish. My son is Jewish. No, Nick. I promise you. Don't get mad.
I'm not mad.
Okay,
It's
I know. But okay. But you got to understand how incredibly, whether it's a joke or not, it's a lived experience passed down from generation to generation, whether or not.
It's like that's like you making fun of black people being hung and castrated. That's not a funny joke, bruh. Because that actually happened. Nobody's making jokes about. That's just so sad. It's so sad that like comedy is being ruined in this way, where the thing that a lot of people think is funniest, the thing that people think is funniest in just life, like on the funniest thing in the world, are the most horrible things, like murdering certain people, committing genocide towards certain people or murdering certain people or assassinations. People think those are the funniest jokes out here. Bro, you can make jokes about other stuff. You guys know that, right? Your joke doesn't have to be at the expense of it's like the jokes that are funniest are at the expense of millions or billions of people from our past, right? People who are long dead. Those are the funniest jokes. One thing that oh man, this is a perfect time to say. One thing that I am so surprised about is that we're still making 9/11 jokes in 2026. What is anybody still laughing at that shit? Like, it was bad when we were making them back in the day, but it's been 25 years and we're still making 9/11 jokes, bruh. And it's like, I'm just like, bro, is it that funny? Is it really that funny? Every time? I don't know, man. I'm just getting so sick of 9/11 jokes. I've seen them for so many years of my life, and I just like after a certain point in time, I was laughing at them. I was. I'll admit that. I'm not, I'm I'm cool with myself enough to admit that. But I stopped laughing at 9/11 jokes so long ago, man. Same thing with Holocaust jokes. They're just not funny. They're just not. Some of them, like, it's like, yeah, but then the immediate thought that I have after, like, oh, I guess that's kind of funny, is like, they're reaching, man. Why are you reaching to make a joke about 9/11? You don't need to reach. That's just gross. That just makes you seem gross and weird. But anyway, man, whatever. I think comedy doesn't have to be about some of the most tragic events in human history. You can be comedy. Don't ruin comedy, man. It doesn't have to be edgy for it to be funny. It doesn't have to be some horrible thing that happened in history for it to be really funny. It doesn't have to be about trans people or gay people or like, you know what I mean? You can make jokes about other stuff. Good humor, you know? Anyway, I just wish we'd bring back good humor, man.
Just from the Holocaust, not just from 1939 on. 2,000 years of history, okay? Forget about Israeli politics and Netanyahu, because I think we agree about Bibi Netanyahu. I'm positive we do, and I've listened to you talk about it. But you got to understand. Look at me, man.
I see.
It hurts. It hurts.
Does it?
Nick, I promise you it does.
Why are you laughing at me? See how disingenuous that feels?
I see.
He said, I see you, and he says, it hurts. And he smiles. Is that like a cringe or something?
Hurts. It hurts.
Look at the smile. Immediately smiles. Why are you smiling? This man is telling you it hurts, man. You make fun of, like, my wife. You know what I mean? It hurts.
Nick, I promise you it does.
I promise it does.
When you compare my wife's family to cookies going to an oven, it hurts, and you've got to understand that. And by the way, I'm looking at you, and I believe that you do know that.
See, that's where you lose me. That's where you lose me.
Okay, Nick. Okay, I'm telling you.
Well, listen, are we here to...
Let's find some middle ground. If I make fun of your God, or if I make fun of your people's history and your heritage, and I make jokes about how terrible white people are, you're not going to feel any certain type of way. Because that's what happens. That's naturally how humans are. They feel like they're being offended, they're going to have that natural emotional response. It's just some humans are good enough and self-aware enough to understand when they're having that response. Like I like to believe that I am, honestly. And they'll stop themselves before, and then they'll cool down and they'll be like, okay, that's whatever, I'll move on. But some people can't control that because they've genuinely been hurt by what you said. That's the difference.
me and
Okay,
preach
no,
to
you're
me.
right. Let me listen.
Okay.
So you're right.
So
You're right.
this is the
Okay.
thing, because, you know, and I think this is a disconnect. I think that the left and even people on the right, they're losing the young people. Why do people love me? Not in spite of, but because of the outrageous things that I say. Not in spite of, but because I say offensive things. Because I, let's say, drop the N-word on a video or something. Yeah. It's because people are sick of the preachiness.
No. It's because you're controversial and they like laughing at controversial things. And you're entertaining, because the most controversial and the most shock value stuff is the most entertaining and it makes the most money. That's why. And also because the black people are probably offended that you keep saying the N-word all the time. That's probably another big reason why.
Okay, I'll listen to what you say. But Nick, I disagree. I think that you're appealing to the lowest common denominator of thought. If you're hating on the people that they think are the reason for their suffering, then you must be on their side.
Exactly.
I don't think that you believe that about the Holocaust. I think you think the Holocaust did happen. But forget about whether or not you think that it is used politically in a way that is obtuse and wrong. But I think that you do believe that. And I think that you have to. Like, what's your cultural heritage?
I'm Italian, Mexican, and Irish.
Mexican.
Mexican?
When did they come in Italian? When did the Mexicans come? When did the Irish come?
Mexicans came turn of the last century.
Yeah.
Italians came in the 1860s.
Yeah.
Irish came in the early 1900s.
Okay.
Damn.
So maybe...
Yo, I need to get up on my history, bro, because I had no idea about any of that. Bruh, I really need to get up on my history. I've never been a history buff, but holy, these guys clearly were.
About something that is like grossly offensive just on the face of it, and think that, oh, why can't people just believe that that's funny? But you got to understand, it's from a perspective of somebody that has that trauma, and I think that there is such a thing as generational trauma, and those stories are passed down generation to generation. When you say something like that, they completely shut off. They can't hear another thing that you're saying about this cultural disconnect, about losing communities, about the feeling of being left out or left behind in a world in which there no longer is this sense of community. All the other things that you say, everybody else is left. And what you do pick up, you pick up the ones that hear the dog whistle. You pick up the ones that say,
yeah, like this fucking guy. Oh my gosh, I hate that guy.
Huh? Yeah, that's the way that I feel,
so
because it's radical. It's like he's willing to say the thing that nobody...
Look at them right next to each other with their little beards.
Else will say in this environment. And then you get an enormous amount of niche, but love from that. And I just don't believe that you believe that. I don't believe that you think that it was appropriate for you to say something like that. I don't think you believe that it's appropriate to say women shouldn't vote.
Let's give Nick a second to respond to the first thing.
I know, I talk constantly. That's how I do this.
It's all good. It's all good.
I apologize.
I get it, and I understand that perspective, and it is offensive, and it is provocative, and that's sort of what makes it funny. I mean, what we would say in our generation's edge...
No, it doesn't have to be... That's literally what I was just saying. It doesn't have to be offensive and provocative for it to be funny. It doesn't. And I think there was like one person who said, like, back in the day, they were like, the best comedy is comedy that offends people, or like all comedy offends people, or something like that. Something along those lines of like the best jokes that you can make have somebody is being made fun of, right? It has a punchline that involves, it comes at someone else's expense, right? That's usually what the best comedy is.
We're being edgy. We're being provocative.
Want to laugh
and I think that it is that kind of overbearing sense for our entire...
Nick, I'm the king of edgelord.
Well, in a certain way.
Let's let Nick explain the psychology behind edgelord.
It's that overbearingness that my generation's had our entire lives. That's not appropriate. That's not funny. Think of the trauma. That's racist. That's white supremacist.
Overbearing? Who's been... That overbearing, that wokeness has just started happening. Was that happening back in the day? I don't think it was.
Makes it funny. That makes it different, interesting. And let me grant, by the way, I think that now, and this is maybe...
One thing that I think we can all agree on is never funny to genuinely hurt somebody's feelings, right? So the joke is no longer funny as soon as one person steps up and they go, hey, that's not cool. And they're like serious about it. All of a sudden, the joke's not funny anymore.
towards you. Now that my kind of humor has become mainstream and popular, I don't even think that that's funny anymore. People do the edgelording thing. It's become so commonplace and so tired. I don't think it's that funny or impressive. That's a big part of why I kind of moved past it, because 10 years ago,
like
it was
the 9/11 thing. Literally, like I was just saying, like the 9/11 thing. Once you overplay you make the joke once and it's like, okay, I guess, whatever. You make the joke for the 30,000th time, and if anybody laughs, you're a weirdo. Like, cause what? Or you're either a weirdo for laughing at the same joke after the 30,000th time, or you just heard the joke for the first time. And that would be surprising.
Treated like sacrilegious. And there's something funny about the fact that you could say a word or make a joke and make people lose.
Say a word? What word, Nick? What word? Does it start with an N? Does it start with an N and end with an A? Because you won't say the other one. I mean, I haven't seen him say the other one so far, and I'm assuming he's scared.
Their minds and freak out, and it was like an international incident if you said the wrong thing. And I think that's what made it tempting.
We showed the baby. I don't know who those other people were. I saw Kanye and the baby.
Because 10 years ago, it was treated and make people lose their minds and freak out, and it was like an international
Kanye, Make America Great Again.
Incident.
No idea who that is.
If you said the wrong.
No idea who that is.
Thing, and I think that.
The baby.
That's what made it tempting, especially for a young person. You want to rebel. You want to be defiant. You want to be a little revolutionary or something. Now, as time has gone on, I think that's become a fad. Everybody does it. It's lost its power. And I think that, by the way, part of why we're getting less of it is because instead of getting the preachy lecture from the left saying that's not appropriate, people just roll their eyes. Now, when an edgy white person says the N-word, people roll their eyes and go, really? You know, that joke again? People hear someone wears a Nazi costume, makes a Holocaust joke. People go, really? That joke again? It's not impressive. It's not funny anymore.
It wasn't funny originally. It was never funny. Who laughs at a white person using the N-word? That's funny? I don't think that's ever been funny. I think it's always been cringe. And if you laugh at it, you're probably white, which makes it less funny. That makes you laughing at it, you're embarrassing. And why do you think it's funny? Do I have to be white to get the joke? Is it like a skin? You need like a skin color, certain skin color to laugh at the joke? That's the requirement.
More. We've seen it before. And ironically, that is what makes you get less of it when you disempower those things by not giving them this over-the-top reaction, pretending like it's some great travesty.
So you think the new counterculture is going to be woke again?
No, I think it's a synthesis.
A synthesis of post-edgelordism and wokeism?
Yes, because I think that wokeism had its excesses. Yeah. Edgelording also has its excesses. And I think now we're finding a middle ground between saying the edgiest thing we can think of with no regard for anyone and saying everything is racist. You know, if you say something, you should lose your job.
Our culture is going to be woke again?
No, I think it's a synthesis.
A synthesis of post-edgelordism and wokeism?
Yes, because I think that wokeism had its excesses. Yeah. Edgelording also has its excesses. And I think now we're finding a middle ground between saying the edgiest thing we can think of with no regard for anyone and saying everything is racist. You know, if you say something, you should lose your job. We're finding a middle.
I mean, but the whole thing about if you say something, you lose your job. You lose your job for saying anything, whether it be online or, you know, at the company. And that should always be the case. Am I wrong? Because your job is a third-party organization that doesn't want to be made, it doesn't want to look bad, right? So if you start talking, you know, saying the N-word or like start talking about the Holocaust at work or online, right? Because you're sponsored by them as an employee, right? Then yeah, you should be fired. Yeah, like because I mean, you shouldn't be fired because of the internet. You should be fired because the company thinks that you betrayed company values.
Around where, you know, maybe it's tastefully offensive in small doses, less is more.
So it sounds like you believe in the survival of the American experiment.
Yeah, I really do.
Doses.
And listen, I don't think everything about wokeism was bad necessarily.
What's the best thing about wokeism?
I think that genuinely it has made people more respectful and empathetic.
Okay,
Because let's
that's a
be
very
honest,
nice thing to
20
say.
years ago, let's say when I was growing up, I think there was a lot of cruelty. And I think there were some hateful attitudes.
Bullying and
And I think as time has gone on, this younger generation, they may not be even left-wing. They may not be what you'd consider woke, but I think they are respectful of people that have different ideas or, different way of
And that's-
life. Or
you can just easily tell that simply due to like Pride, right? The whole Pride parade and the festival. A lot of people that go to Pride and like celebrate Pride, they're not necessarily gay. They just want to go there and be there for people. You know what I mean? And a lot of people, you start to see more and more common that people are okay with gay people because you don't have a choice, man. You really don't have a choice. You're not getting rid of them, okay?
From a different culture. We make jokes all the time about the fact that I'm like a far-right guy and I'm Mexican. People say I'm a white supremacist, I'm Mexican. And people make a joke that a lot of far-right people are Hispanic. And I think that's a consequence that there's very little genuine racial hatred in anybody's DNA anymore, or any kind of hatred. And I think that's positive, but that went too far. And I think some of the other stuff went too far as well.
Hablas español?
No, not a little bit, I guess, from high school.
Can you do a little bit?
Un poco.
Okay,
I don't speak it from my dad, so.
Did you grow up like around a lot of Mexicans?
No, all white people for the most part.
Did they know you were Mexican?
They did. And not going to lie, I mean, people made fun of me for that.
What'd they say?
Well, like, for example, one time when I was in Model UN, I was entering high school as a freshman. Aww. They looked at my name on the roster without knowing me. And they told me this after the fact, the leadership of the club. They said, oh, we thought you were just some Mexican kid, so we gave you a bad committee assignment.
Oh, wow. They admitted that?
See, I heard that and I laughed. I said, that's funny. Whereas a lot of people would say, oh, that's traumatic.
What the fuck? Yeah, because what? I think you laughed at that because you have white skin and you didn't actually get that punishment. If you had brown skin, they wouldn't even have told you that and you would have been put on that shitty assignment. Like, what?
I'm a victim of racism.
We're going to end this an hour in, okay? And then we'll do the last 40 minutes. I don't want to make this video too long.
No, I think that's, it's just a human thing.
Yeah, I always felt like growing up as like a white kid in America.
What if you weren't, what if you were an identity?
Exactly. What if you were brown skin? Yeah, they would have just they would have ostracized the hell out of you for your name, not even they didn't even know what you looked like. They would have ostracized you for having a Mexican last name, Fuentes.
Identified as being Mexican, and they came to you and they didn't tell you that's the reason that they gave you all the bad committee assignments.
That would be unfair.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be, Nick. Yeah, it would.
It's interesting. I'm just saying.
That's the whole point, isn't it?
And
so you may find it funny because you pass as a white Anglo-Christian.
Do you think I pass?
What?
Do you think I pass as a white Anglo-Christian?
Well, I not only think you pass, I think you identify as it. Yeah.
Oh, he was trying to dap you up? What the hell?
Yeah.
Let's go.
Yeah. No, but really, for real. And my point is that I heard you do an interview, okay? And I literally on the write up here, it's like you were talking about how you were raised on like Mark Levin in high school.
Right.
And the thing that you liked the most about Mark Levin is how cruel he was.
Whoa,
right.
What?
And
what? Oh, I thought that said something else.
The thing that you liked the most about Mark Levin is how cruel he was to the callers.
Mm-hmm.
I don't get that. Like the joke about the cookies. It may be a joke and it may be edgelording and you may not really mean it, but you got to realize the cruelty to it. And without going like, oh, like, whan, like, people got to stop crying about the past. And that's the thing.
It's like you're calling them sensitive.
I think that you have such an opportunity to talk to a generation of disaffected, angry, legitimately angry people in a way in which is positive without having to do that shit. And by the way, and I'm not holding you responsible for the end of my conception of Western civilization, which is different than yours, but I just don't get it. I don't get why you find the cruelty. And I think that, by the way, I think that that's why you like Trump. I mean, this
Why?
is, but I'm making, you know, like a very unfair leap because his first instinct is cruelty. His first instinct is to find the fault in the other. About everything, by the way. It's not his fault that that we're in a war with Iran, that he's ended 38 times and, you know, and started 39. It's not his fault that inflation's high. It's not his fault that the wall didn't get built. It's not his fault that ICE is killing people on the streets in these places. It's just the cruelty of it. Maybe it's a generational thing. I got friends who are Jewish that are going to be really, really fucking pissed off that I'm sitting next to you. And what do I tell them? What do I tell them why it's okay for me to sit and have this conversation with you?
Because you have an open mind. Because you have an open mind and you're willing to listen to people who, you know, I don't know, discussion's important. You're an open-minded person who is willing to sit down and discuss things because you believe in discussion.
I just have such a different opinion of that. You know, why should we have to explain ourselves to talk to anybody? And why is...
I mean, the people that you love, your family, yeah, you should explain yourself if you want to spend time with them. Your wife. I mean, if you say something on the internet and then you come home and your wife's waiting on the couch like, so what was that? You're not going to explain yourself? You're just going to wave her off? She doesn't matter, right? No, you should explain yourself to your family and your loved ones because you care about them. That's why.
Saying the wrong words or making a particular joke makes it so the Jewish person wouldn't want to watch my show. I have a lot of Jewish fans. I mean, some of my best friends are Jewish. I've had Jewish employees, and they recognize that, you know, just because I'm not necessarily nice all the time doesn't mean I'm hateful, doesn't mean, I don't even think they see it as cruel. I think they see it as it's a little rough around the edges. And maybe that's the difference is I guess it's just attributing this weight to something that can considered a joke and maybe doesn't have a cruel intention behind it. Like, you know, Mark Levin, you got to remember at the end of the day, it's an entertainment show. It's entertainment. People call in. He gets frustrated with them. It's part of what I do on my show.
That's why I don't think, no. That's not Dan Giesling. I love calling him out. I love shouting out my boy Dan. Dan Giesling has an entertainment show. You and this other guy have political shows, right? What's another great example of somebody kind of on the left? I don't know. What's his name? Parker. I don't know his last name, but yeah, Parker is like a great example of like, his show is political. I wouldn't even say that his show is political and comedy because it's really just mostly political. Mostly. But people, I think a lot of people try to do this thing where they combine the politics with the comedy, and a lot of them fail at it because you're so much more focused on the politics and being right about something than actually trying to create an entertaining show and be funny. Some of them just take stuff way too seriously when it comes to politics instead of, that's kind of the whole point of comedy is to not be so serious about it.
And it's not always nice, but it's funny, and I don't think it's mean-spirited necessarily, and I don't think it's that big of a deal. So, I mean, the thought that I would, like, for example, with you, people would say, why do you talk to Hunter Biden? His father and his DOJ froze your money and put you on a no-fly list. I'd say, so what? I mean, it's just talking. I don't think talking's a big deal. You know,
froze my money and put me on a no-fly list too.
There you go. See, so we got
like,
that.
What? So a different question that I have that kind of weaves everything together. How do you think like October 7th and the subsequent like pro-Palestine movement and the online worlds it created led to a growing audience on the right?
October 7th in particular? Yeah. Well, I think it highlighted and brought to the forefront how captured the right wing is by Israel, which is very unique. What? I think the Democrats and the Republicans are pro-Israel, but the Republican Party...
No, we're not. No, we're not. No, we're not. And if you wear this, you're insane. You're delusional, and you don't know what you're doing. Is this really half and half? Wow, that's crazy that exists.
Party has this inextricable institutional connection.
None of us support Israel, right? Right, guys? I thought it was Palestine that we supported. Now I'm just confused.
Action with the Israel lobby, with this Likud government in particular. And
I thought the right... What the fuck? Huh? Wait, what? CBN News Jerusalem Dateline? What is this?
I think people just started to see the hypocrisies. The hypocrisy was brought to the forefront, which is America first, but not with Israel. No new wars except for with Iran.
Under Trump, we will have no more wars. No more wars. No more wars. They said he will start a war. I'm not going to start a war. I'm going to stop wars. Tonight, Iran's Navy is gone.
You know, we're going to be racist and all these things, but don't you dare be anti-Semitic. Don't even, think about it.
Yeah, I see good things about Hitler also. Every human being has something of value.
You know, man, you guys really... I've been talking about a lot of groups of people giving a really bad rap, right? You know the group of people that gives the worst reputation? That creates the worst prejudices against their own people. And they make their own people look horrible. I mean, just the worst. People who follow this book right here, the Holy Bible. The Christians, oh my Lord. And I don't even want to say Christians. If you believe in God and you're anti-Semitic or like whatever, just if the people who believe in God make so many of them make Christians or believers in God, they make them look so bad. They make them look delusional. They make them look racist. They make them look anti-Semitic. They make them look evil. You make people like Kanye and people like Nick Fuentes who claim to be religious, and people like Donald Trump, right? Who claim to be believers in God, in the good Lord. Bruh, you make people think that Christians are evil. When they're not. You can't. There are so many people that I've met who are like, I hate Jesus and I hate Christian people and I'll never be around. And it's like, man, like, you drove these people to insanity because they think that Christian people are evil and that they want so many horrible things to happen in the world, like Kanye. Because all of the examples of Christians that they have on the highest level are fake Christians, man. They might believe in, the good Lord and all that stuff, but the way that they speak about things in life that they disagree with is just like, oh my gosh, you guys give Christians such a bad rap, man. It's so sad. It's so sad because it really is a beautiful religion when you look at, the good parts.
The table, especially Hitler.
So I think that on the right wing, it made it unignorable that there's this ideological institutional capture.
I just feel like a lot of straightforward, like just anti-Semite influencers were taking advantage of the post-October 7th discourse to push other ideas.
Yikes.
Broader ideas about Jewish people as a whole.
Come out and say it. Like, I think that Jews are causing a disproportionate...
What is wrong with you, man? What are we talking about? Do people hate... Is all the anti-Semitism coming from the war in Iran and Israel? And like the whole the fact that people think, what do you think, Jews are the reason that the war is going on? That's just generalizing.
Amount of problems in the United States.
Well, I mean,
this is just an excuse to love Hitler and hate Jewish people, which I don't know how you could logically think that that's acceptable. That's just stupid.
I think it's hard to ignore some of those other conversations.
Like what?
I know that it's now become maybe in vogue to say that the Israel issue is very narrow. It's just Netanyahu. It's just the Likudniks. It's just the Israel lobby. But, what would you say about someone like Larry Ellison? I mean, somebody like that, I don't think fits neatly into this, let's say, problem of Netanyahu.
As far as installing Barry Weiss and whatnot.
Yes.
Gotcha.
Because this is somebody who's not Israeli. He's not even a religious Jew, but he's ethnically Jewish and has this deep affinity for the state of Israel.
I feel a deep emotional connection to the state of Israel and the Israeli people.
And is using and mobilizing his power and resources and connections to benefit Israel in the private sector.
Sad.
And so if you were to say, what's a law that we could pass to prevent that kind of influence, what would it look like? He's an American citizen. He can't buy a media company and hire Barry Weiss to run CBS News.
No, he can't.
And yet we recognize that's a big problem.
I just feel the conflation of anti-Zionism and Holocaust denial played into the hands of the Israeli propaganda apparatus. Because then they can say, hey, look, these people that oppose what we're doing in Palestine also don't think the Holocaust happened. For it's a big jump in the public perception.
It was almost to me as if that was your intent. to lose any legitimacy about any argument as it relates to Israel and the Likud government, is to say those edgelording things or whatever.
Jews are money changers. Bullshit artists, psychopaths, charlatans, grifters, manipulators.
I don't know anybody.
Okay. And I think that is a perfect place to stop. We are not trying to make Nick Fuentes look bad. Those are the words that came out of your mouth, and that's it. This was a very, very, very long one. We're gonna have part 2 very soon, hopefully. I know I've slowed down, but hopefully we'll be picking it up real soon. This is an amazing video. Amazing as always, Andrew. I hope you get to talk more in the second half, because these two just really are going at it. I can't imagine what else they'll have to say. They covered a lot of topics. That's about it, man. That's really all I got to say. I'll look at the comments. At the end of the second half. I think that will be better. But anyways, that's it. You guys all have an amazing day, amazing night, amazing week, amazing month, amazing year. I'm out. Adios.